Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about timing in chess. And what does that mean, timing? Have you ever gotten into a position where you want to move? Right? Like you're just hoping, yeah, you're hoping it's your move, right? That's timing. Yes, what did you want to say?
Well, so once when I was about to like capture a rook, but
Yeah.
but since it wasn't my move, I didn't get to because
Exactly. It wasn't your turn. And
you
that
can't take a second turn.
I know, exactly. Well, timing in chess, that's so very important. When you start the game, you really love it to be your move because you want to mobilize your pieces really, really quickly. And during the middle game, you want it to be your move so you can capture your opponent's rook, or if you're attacking his queen and he doesn't move it away, you want to be able to capture his queen. As you get into the end game, timing becomes more and more important. Who has the move? And so I'm going to give you a little bit, including one of my favorite positions that involves timing. Now, basically, you guys are white here. You guys have a pawn up, and if you can promote the pawn to make a queen, you're going to checkmate me and win the game. But the point is how are you going to do it? Right now, my king is in the way. It's stopping your pawn, and I'm trying to, as black, control the square E8 so that you can't promote your pawn. If you can't promote your pawn, the game's going to be a draw. But here, a little timing comes into play. So, to the class, I'd like to ask, what would you do to start? And remember, you've got to win. Yes, what would you do, young man?
Well, right then I might as well move my pawn up 2 squares.
Okay, you would play.
You only do that on your first move with your pawn.
Exactly, it's on E2. Let's assume that you play E2, E4. Well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to play king to E6. Now, what would you like to do? Would you like to advance your pawn further?
No. Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
Move the pawn to E5.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to drop back with my king. King to E7. And now what would you do?
I will move to king F5.
Excellent choice. Very nicely done. I'm going to go king F7. Yes.
Well.
Check. Would you?
I would. Well, the best move I would think right now, but would be E6, but I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine. Let's see what would happen after. Check is good. King E7. And now, what would you do, young man?
I would move to king E5.
Excellent choice. And I'm going to go back with my king. King to E8. What would you do, young man?
King to D6.
Excellent. King to D6. King to D8. And now what would you do?
I would.
What would you do, young lady?
D6.
What would you do? Okay, if you move, just a second. If you move the pawn to E7, I go king to E8. Now check this out. This is timing. This is the problem of timing. Now in this position, you would love it to be black's turn, right? Because if it was black to move, I'd have to move away, and then you could go king to d7, and your next move is e8, and you win. But unfortunately, in this position, after e7 check, king here, if you go king e6, I'm stalemated. I made the draw. I can't move. I can't make a legal move, and I can't be obliged to make an illegal move. I can't take the pawn. I can't move my king. So it's a draw, stalemate. Now let's go back just a second to this position. And somebody suggested king c6. I would go king e7. You would probably defend the pawn. And I'd go king e8. And you can't push me away from the e8 square. Yes, young man?
I'll go to.
Everything you do, everything you do at this point, it's too late. I've already made a draw. You can't push me away from d8. If it was my turn, you would win brilliantly. I would move my king to e8, you play e7, and you win. But unfortunately, it's your move. So we're going to go back to the start. Because after the move...
This time it's your turn to move first.
Okay.
Right?
Well, no, we still have it. We still have the same problem as we did before, but it's going to be white's turn to move first. And we've seen that advancing the pawn here early, quickly, which looks like the right move, actually is wrong. In timing in chess, sometimes what that means is you want the opponent to move. You want to lose the move. Okay, so we know from what we've just seen that the move e2, e4 doesn't win the game. Young man, what would you do?
The pawn to e2.
Ah, move the pawn to e3. Then let's say I go king to e6. Now what would you do? Young man.
Pawn to e4.
Okay, pawn to e4. And guess what? We're right back into the same situation as before, young man.
Well,
I'm going to give you a heads up. You've already blown it. You've already blown it. It's a draw. If you attack me with check, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to get me out of the e8 square. I always drop back. Here I have 3 legal moves. 2 lose on the spot. If I move my king here, this loses on the spot to what we've just seen before. The king has to move out of the way. The king moves up. Again, black to move. He has 3 legal moves. King d8, king e8, king f8. 2 lose, 1 draws. This move loses. King f8, king f6, king e8. And once again, white takes control of the e8 square, promotes his pawn, wins the game. Bravo! However, we haven't won the game yet. Young man, what do you think?
I would move my. Oh wait, never mind.
Young man, what would you say?
I would move king to
Ki-
f3.
King to f3? Well, then I would just step up. Or maybe I should step up here. So you move backwards. You haven't helped your cause. Young man in the red, you were going to make a suggestion?
I was going to say move the king. I don't know where.
Okay, you're correct. you have to move your king, but where should he move the king? Young man with the, yes, you.
King to G4.
King to G4. That doesn't really help your cause because I moved back. Now, you haven't really made a progress.
You get over there. You get really bad.
Well, I was just putting the position back. So who else has a suggestion? Yes?
I will move king to E4.
King to E4. Brilliant move. Brilliant move. Now, let's see what I could do. I could move my king back here to E7, but then you would bring your king up. So I'm going to put your king in opposition. Now, basically, you want me to move first. Yes, now what would you do?
Well, you could play time by you could use a move to do time would be move the pawn up one.
Exactly. So basically, in this position, you want black to move because then his king has to get out of the way. So you play the move E2, E3. Now, I'm very unhappy about it, but I'm going to have to move my king. And now, what do you do? What do you do, young man?
I would move king to F5.
Exactly. Exactly. King to F5. Now, I want to stay in front of the pawn, so I'm going to go king to E7. Young man again.
Pawn to E4.
Ah, pawn to E4. And now king here.
Wait. I think I saw a video that it said don't push up the pawn.
Exactly. You've learned to get to this position, not to push up the pawn too fast.
King to E5.
Brilliant move. Now again, I have to make way. Let me make way like this. King to F7. Gentleman in the back. Yes, sir. You in the back. You. Now what do you do?
Advance the pawn.
Okay, if you advance the pawn, I'm stepping in front of your king. So you have an opportunity to make a little headway with your king. Yes. Well, king to F5, I'll go back. You want to go deeper into the position. Yes, young man?
King to D6.
Yes, indeed. Exactly. King to D6, king to E8. And now, young man.
Move king to E6.
Brilliant. Very, very, very well done. So now your king has conquered the E6 square. Whenever we're in this situation, white is going to win the game. I only have two legal moves. Let me choose one. Yes?
Pawn to E4.
Brilliant. I'll come back. And again?
Pawn to E5.
Exactly. Now again, I only have two legal moves. If I go here, I'm afraid that you will go here
Yes, we will.
and waltz your pawn through. However, what if I go here? Young man in the orange, right behind. Yes, orange.
I would put the king to F7.
Brilliant. And now there's nothing I can do. You will
Yes.
and make a queen. And I'm lost. Okay. So what we learn in this particular position is that sometimes, unlike normally in the opening and the middle game when we want to move, sometimes it's better to give our opponent the opportunity to move. Young man, what would you like to say?
Sometimes when a king
Yeah.
The king could either go to D7 or F7 to defend his pawn until it went to the end.
Exactly.
And I've heard that sometimes you call that a dream square.
Well, it's the dream of every pawn to promote. That's for sure. And if, in this case, we have an E pawn, I'm sure the E8 square is the dream pawn for the pawn. Now, I have one of my favorite puzzles. This is going to be really easy for you guys. Very, very easy. Now, in this position, right? In this position, how many of you know that when there's only two knights and a king versus a king, that it's a draw? This is a draw. This is a draw. Bravo. So, I'm going to give this position to you, but I'm going to help you out. So you know that I can't win with two knights and a king against your king. So you know I'm going to play white, you're going to play black, so you know it's a draw. But I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you a pawn. Now, if you could get a queen, you're going to win the game. But I'm going to even help you. So how many of you already like black's position? I sure do, because you can't lose, and there's a chance if you could get a pawn, you might win. But I'm going to help you out some more, okay? I'm going to give you a knight. So you have a knight and a pawn, and I have two knights. So how many of you really like the position for black? Exactly. You're going to come with, okay. Now, to help you out even more, I'm going to give you another knight. So how many of you think you can win this position with black now?
No.
Okay. So you all agree that you like to play black, right? Because you got two knights, you got an extra pawn. You might promote the pawn and win the game, right?
No.
Why not?
Because your king can't move anywhere, and your knight is blocking our pawn's way.
Right, but you're going to move your knight on your next turn, and then your king.
You can just move your other knight.
Yeah. Well, guess what about this position? It's all about timing. Can you imagine that if it's white's turn, he wins? Isn't that a shock? What could white do? Just a second. You forgot. Yes?
Bring the other knight over to E2.
Well, if you go knight E2 check.
The other knight. I said the other knight.
But this knight is on H7. Where would it go?
I mean, it'll take like a few moves to get to E2.
Correct. Well, and by that time, this knight will move, this king will move, and you're going to queen. And I'm lost.
Yay.
Yay. But let's check this out. The question is timing. If it's black to move, he wins. So the crucial question is, whose turn is it? Now imagine that I'm white, and I go knight h7 to g5. Now it's your turn. What can you do? You can't move your king, right? Okay, so what would you like to do?
Knight to G4.
Which one? You've got two. This guy?
No, the second one.
This guy, the guy on H2. Knight on H2 to G4. Okay, now what can I do? How about knight on G5 to F3 checkmate?
No.
The pawn is queening. The pawn is, you can't capture my knight. Checkmate.
Wait.
The, the pawn is ready to queen. Oh. How many of you would like to move the other knight? Yes. Should we move the other knight to g4? Or maybe d1?
No.
Okay. Knight g4. And now what move am I going to make?
F3. That you think will be checkmate.
Here you take.
H3. Check.
Mate.
No.
Yeah. Where can your king move?
Nowhere.
Where can the king can't move anywhere? So, see, I tricked you. You didn't have any move to avoid checkmate. Aren't I a dirty coach? I'm the worst.
Yeah.
No matter which knight you move, if you move this knight, I checkmate you here. If you move this knight, for example, to g4 or f1, doesn't matter, I checkmate you here. Isn't that a surprising pattern? Surprise! So always you have to ask yourselves, if I were going to show you a position, you should ask me, whose turn is it? Whose turn is it to move? Okay, the next thing, I wasn't too sure. A couple of weeks ago, I gave you guys a problem, and you guys won. But I wasn't 100% sure that you did it really, really good. So now you're going to have to do it again. And as we'll see, you're going to have to use timing. You're going to have to use timing. So are you ready? Your job is to checkmate me, but I'm only going to give you 2 bishops to do it. Easy as peasy? Okay, I'm going to choose the...
You can checkmate with 2 bishops, but you can't checkmate with 1 bishop.
Correct. Correct. Okay, who would like to start us off? And as we know, the only way you're going to be able to check my king is you have to put me into the corners. Okay, that's the only hint I'm going to give you. Okay, let's get started. What would you do, young man? What would your move be with white? Yes?
I would do bishop to c3.
Excellent. That's a very good choice. Bishop to c3, checking my king. I'm going to have to go, let's say, sideways. In the back, far back. Young man.
White bishop to e4.
Okay, white bishop to e4 check. Let's say I go back. Young man, what would you do?
King to f4.
That's an excellent decision. King to f4. Now, I can't move my king here because your bishop controls the f6 square. I'm going to move my king here. Young man.
Move the bishop from c3 to e4.
Now, this is a really excellent move. Seriously, this is really good because it boxes my king in. Notice how your bishops control all the squares in front of my king. That's going to force me to move side to side. In the back, what would you do?
White bishop. Wait.
White bishop.
White bishop to f5.
Okay, bishop f5 check. You'll permit me to run. You want to force me backwards. Young lady in the back, yes.
The king can't capture it.
Bishop on e4 too. Where? to F3. Be careful, you don't want to give me an opportunity to capture one of your bishops. Young man in the red. Yeah. Brilliant move. Bishop to E5. Now notice you've reduced my options. I can't move my king here, I can't move my king here. I only have a choice of moving backwards. Let's say I move backwards here. Now what would you do? Young man.
White bishop to F6.
White bishop to F6. Okay, I could move back. It's okay. No harm, no foul. I don't feel like you made progress. So you'll move back. Sometimes you make a mistake, you have to take your move back. Young man.
White bishop to D5.
Wonderful move. Really, really brilliant. Because once again, you see how those bishops are coordinating beautifully. I'll move my king here. Young lady. Excellent. Very, very good. I think you guys are getting the hang of things. So you can see my options are being reduced. But I'm going to play king D7. And now, young man. Excellent, excellent. Once again, you see, I can't move here, here, or here. So all the squares I'd like to move to get away from the corner are blocked. I can't move here, I can't move here. I'm going to back up. Ha! Young man.
Would you move your dark bishop, the bishop on E5 to E6, D6?
Excellent choice. Excellent. Now I'm going to move up. Young lady. You're not so sure? Yes.
Move my bishop to E. No.
Careful. 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 I have an idea. Young man.
King to E5.
Excellent. Now with this move, I just want to pause and point something out. You all heard those, double attacks, those types of tactics, right? But this is a very good move because it actually is a good defensive move. You defend both your bishops. It's worth noting. Okay, so what can I do? I'm going to drop back with my king. You guys have made great progress, young man.
Move your king to E6.
Excellent decision. Excellent decision. King to E6. Now, wow. What I want to do is avoid one of the corners. I know you guys are driving me into the corner, so I'm going to try to stay in the center as long as I can. How many of you would like to play bishop to E7?
No, feeling.
Darn, I was hoping that you would do that. Young lady. C6, checking my king. An excellent, excellent move. What can I do? I have to go back. Young man.
Bishop, that's my bishop. No, that's feeling.
Okay, I'm trying.
Bishop to E7.
Okay, bishop to E7 check. Now I get to come out. Thank you. Oopsie daisy. Okay, so what you guys have got to figure out, just give it some thought for a moment. What you guys...
I think that's my bishop to B5.
That's a good move. That's a good move. What you guys have got to figure out is how you're going to drive me into this corner, right? You can see that I can't move over. In fact, you really could predict my next move. You know I'm going to have to move here. But then once I move here, you guys have got to figure out how to stop me from moving back. Young man.
Move your king to F7.
Okay, king to F7.
Okay.
Then I have no choice. I have to go king to c8. Young man in the far back, yes.
No, stalemate.
How about here?
No, stalemate.
Come on. Where are you going to go? It's okay if you want to go back. Your king was good on e6. Yeah, it was a good decision. Okay, so now I'm moving back. Now you guys know that my next move is going to be king here. You know that. Young man, what would you do?
I would do king to d5.
Ah, king to d5. But has that helped your cause? You still have... Young lady, you probably should move your king back. Okay, so far you guys haven't made a big progress. Yes, young man.
Bishop to e5.
Brilliant. Brilliant move. Brilliant move. Now, we're about to understand why this move is brilliant. I'm going to play king here. Okay, young man.
King to d6.
Okay, very good. You brought your king to the d6 square. Very, very good. I want to avoid the corner, so I'm going to keep my king centralized. Okay?
Bishop to f6.
Bishop to f6, check. Very, very good. Okay, now, king here. So far, you guys have done really well. You see how you're kind of squeezing me into the corner. Now, think about this for a moment. What is my next move?
Oh,
What is black's next move? I have no choice, right? I have to move my king to b8 where it's getting closer to the corner. So you guys have to figure out how you're going to set up your bishops and your rooks. What move would you like to make?
I would move my white line bishop to d7.
Okay, but then I escape.
Ah.
Yay!
Again?
So it's correct that you're going to want to move your bishop, but you're going to want to keep this square under control.
Oh. King to...
If you move your...
Bishop to d5.
Very, very, very good. Very, very good. Now you see that you're forcing me. I can't move my king here, 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 or here. I have to play king here. Yes, young man.
King to c6.
Excellent decision. Excellent decision. King to c6. Now, let me see what I want to do. I want to escape. King here. Young man.
You would move that bishop to d4.
Bishop to d... That's okay. Bishop to d4 check. Well, let me see. What if I go here? Yes? What would you do?
I would move the dark line bishop to c3.
Yes. Very, very good. So now, guess what you just did? You gave me the move. Your timing in chess is you want me to move back into the corner. I hate doing it, but I have to. Okay, give this position some thought for just a moment. Young lady, what do you think you should do?
You could move the bishop.
This one or this one? This one. Where?
You could move the bishop up to d4.
Okay, bishop to b4. It's okay, move. I'm going to think about it. I want to play, I don't want to go into the corner.
Ooh, ooh. White line bishop goes to c4.
Check. I have to move king. Now you've got me where you want me, but is your king in the best position?
No.
You would move it to b5.
King to b5. That it would allow me to escape.
Ooh.
Yes, what?
King to c7.
King to c7. And now this is the grand accomplishment. Look at what I have to do. I don't have this square your bishop controls. I don't have this, or this square your king controls. I have to move king to a8. Young lady, are you going to give me stalemate?
No.
No? Okay. Too bad. I was hoping. What move would you like to play? Okay, very good. Where would you move your white bishop? Okay, so in this position, let's reverse the roles for just a moment. Let's reverse the timing of the position. Now, let's imagine it's not white to move, but let's imagine it's black to move. As black, I have no choice. I have to move king here, and it's checkmate in 2 moves now. How do you checkmate me in 2 moves? Hi. What?
Black square bishop to c5, and you have to move to a8, and then white line bishop to b5. No,
That, yes, you did.
I know the real problem that we're solving.
What's that?
It's just give the tempo, give the tempo.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Giving up the tempo. So we're going to go back to this position for a moment. And we know that this is going to be my next move. And then you're going to checkmate me in 2 moves with bishop c5 and bishop d5 checkmate. So what you want to do is just lose the move. You just want to lose. You want to give me the move. So you got lots of ways that you could lose a move. You could move your bishop back. You could move this bishop back. You could move your king. You've got lots and lots of choices. Which one would you like to choose? What's your choice?
White line bishop to b3.
This is an excellent choice. This is a winning move. Another winning move, would you agree that this too
No. Yeah.
is a winning move?
Yeah.
It's still checkmate in 2, right? I move my king, check, king, bishop, mate. Okay. So timing in chess, you don't see it really in the opening. In the opening, you always want it to be your move. In the middle game, most of the time, you really want to have the move. But oftentimes when we get to the end game, you get those peculiar situations where you would like your opponent to move. So, I'm going to give you one last problem. And this is a tricky one. You ready? You guys are white. Now, who thinks white can win? Who thinks black can win? Draw, sorry. Who thinks, here's the important one, who thinks it depends on whose turn it is? Okay, so let's figure this one out. Let's imagine that it's black to move and black moves here. Gentleman in red, you sir. And then guess what? The pawn goes right in. So, if it's And his dream comes true. So if it's black to move, black loses on the spot. How about king here?
Ooh,
Young man.
king to move A7.
And same thing, right? So if it's black to move, black loses. Let's imagine it's white to move. What would you guys do if you were white? What would you do?
King to B6.
Okay. How many think this is a real good move? Don't have much support, but you're right. King C8. And now, young man, you weren't ready. Young lady, you're ready. Okay, what would you do? Brilliant. Excellent. A really brilliant decision. What can I do? If I move my king to D8, you're going to go B7 and it's a queen. I have to go here. And now?
On to B7.
And now?
Oh,
King up.
B7.
See, aren't I a mean guy? I tricked you. Here, all the whole lesson, I've been talking about timing and how it's important sometimes that you give the move to your opponent. But in this case, white wins regardless. Sorry about that, I'm just a mean guy. So, are there any questions about timing? We'll let you get to play your chess games. Yes, young man. What question would
You
you?
know a really good position in the beginning of the game. Why do you always want it to be? Do you always want it to be your turn?
Sure. In the opening and in the middle game, you always like it to be your turn because you can attack your opponent, capture something, gain space, mobilize your pieces. So in the opening and the middle game, timing isn't as big a factor as the end game. Young man, yes.
Does timing also mean that you want to make the move for your opponent?
Timing means that sometimes you want it to be your opponent's move. That is to say, like that example we just showed here, and let me just show it to you again, because I just think it's such a beautiful pattern. Sometimes, as we've seen, after knight g5, poor black, whatever move, he can't move his king. He can't move his pawn. And whichever knight move he makes, he gets checkmated from one side or checkmated on the other side. So sometimes, let's say it was white to move here.
Because the pawn is walking this way.
Yes.
The other way around, it will be,
Yes, well then you'd just be fine. But so if it was white to move in this position, what move would you make with white?
Ooh. I would move knight to F3.
Well, I would take it.
either way will be captured.
Either way. So if you had the white pieces, what move would you make? You want it to be black's move, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yes, young man.
Just move your king.
Anywhere, right? You could anywhere you move your king. Let's just say king here. You would say, okay, my friend, go ahead and move one of your knights, and I'll checkmate you. Nice. Thank you all for coming. Nice of you. And we'll see you next Sunday.